I am beyond late to this discourse, child, but as a fellow femme, I have an obligation to tap in. So this is me tapping in. The short of it for shits and gigs is Donnie is a gorgeous feminine gay man, some would say hyper feminine gay man, who was out with friends, met another guy who he ended up flirting with, making out with, and talking to for a week over the phone. And then when they were gonna go out on a date for the first time in person, in the car, his date asked him, hey, I've had an inkling about something for a while, didn't know how to ask you, and asked him if he identifies as a man. Donnie said yes, and then the date took him back home. Donnie was a little miffed, only at the fact that his time was wasted because they had already had a tete-a-tete in which the gentleman could have obviously asked about his inkling ahead of time. Simple, right? So why are the girls upset? The short of that is that the girls are bigots. But since we're already here, I'm gonna explain how that manifested. Donnie was telling the story like he would tell a friend, which we all do here on TikTok specifically, let alone the internet. That's the wave. And the way you tell your friend stories is non-linear, and it's almost like a therapy session in that you're able to identify things verbally that you were feeling or that you feel about it in hindsight that you weren't able to in the moment. Very normal. And in this is where Donnie said the phrase fragile masculinity before explaining what happened in the car and being brought back. And when he said fragile masculinity, it had the girls in a chokehold. That is what triggered the pick-me's, and that is what brought all the undue heat on my homegirl, Donnie, okay? Because all of those women, because it was mostly women in the comment section with their panties in a bundle, were saying that Donnie should be grateful that he is safe and that things didn't escalate, which is a whole bag of worms in and of itself. But furthermore, that it proves, because he got home safe, that the man does not have fragile masculinity. But I'm gonna tell you why this is the real tea. The reason this should be scalding your tongue right now is because this revealed that everyone who got triggered was immediately looking at the story from the lens of this is a transgender woman who's trying to trick our good straight man into being in bed with him when he could be with me instead, and he could be safe from all of these transgender. Even though Donnie is not transgender, made that clear, and the gentleman was the one who was having an inkling about Donnie's gender identity and didn't ask shit. As usual, you bitches fail us. Us being society. Because if you don't hold these hoes up to a certain standard, which is honestly baseline, take accountability and responsibility for your part, we're never gonna get anywhere. And you sure aren't gonna get that ring with that magical man that you think you are. Okay? Because people aren't used to seeing feminine men out in the open who feminize in the way that Donnie or myself or Brett Man Rock, who's actually more comfortable being called non-binary, but goes by all pronouns, does, they automatically assume that if this person is feminizing on a male form, then they are in some way, shape, or form transgender. And that is not the case. That never came out of Donnie's mouth. That was all an assumption y'all made. And actually, that was an assumption that the gentleman was making, but never copped up to until he wasted all of Donnie's time. So what that reveals is he was attracted to Donnie because he thought Donnie was transgender. Cat Black just put out a video on this, and that's what really pushed me to make a commentary on this, because Cat was explaining how overly common it is for straight men to be attracted and pursue transgender women. Now, y'all might not like that shit because you're bigots, but it's the truth. I can vouch for that. I feminize quite a bit, as you can see here. And whenever I'm on the apps trying to get hookups, it's only straight men who will pursue me. And in this last go round, I decided to stop because, as Kat explains, these men want transgender women. But just like y'all are doing, those straight men will conflate feminization with transgender identity. And as soon as it comes out that I am in fact a man and I don't always feminize or in the way that they want or whatever, and that I'm not gonna be their fetish, that's when stuff ends. And that proves that they specifically want transgender women. Y'all can be as mad about that as you want to, but that's the tea. Meanwhile, as much as I respect the transgender struggle and how much trans people go through, how dangerous it is to exist in that way, so too is it for feminine gay men who feminize consistently out in the open. Okay? That's why I'm making this video. Because we exist. Hey, we're gorgeous. You have eyes. And what you wanted was for Donnie to downplay himself and to humble himself because you were triggered with your own storyline about how a straight man could possibly be attracted to Donnie. So let me clear some things up for y'all. Attraction and desirability are not the same thing, bruh. Straight men may pursue me, may have sex with me, all of that, but they don't want to partner me or build a life with me and be out with me in the open. Nobody wants that from feminine gay men because of the taboo that it is to even be associated with a feminine man. And transgender women go through this as well. However, transgender women I have seen in many different versions of real relationships. Feminine gay men, I have not. As much as I would like to romanticize this idea that I could find my one true love, my dream masculine man who identifies as gay, bisexual, or whatever, but wants to be with me, seen out in public all the time, show me off, and build a life together, that's only gonna harm me because that is not true. And the reason is to be a feminine man is to be undesirable. Obviously, how many feminine gay men have you seen out in long-term relationships who feminize, okay? Makeup, nails, shaving all over, all the things. We are beautiful, drop dead gorgeous, obviously, literally some of the most beautiful beings on planet Earth ever. But that doesn't equate to desirability. And it's so trippy because in reality, you guys should be communing with Donnie over the idea of not feeling desirable or not being desirable, because that's really what's at the core of this. Is the girlies are mad because when they see these people who they view as less than human and beneath them, transgender people, feminine men, whatever, what have you, and we're not playing small and we're not letting you bitches fuck by us and put your foot on our necks, but instead we're snapping yours, it makes you mad. Because it reminds you that, oh my gosh, nobody wants me. They really don't want me so bad that they'll rather go to somebody who's lesser than me. And bitch, you need therapy for that. Even in the queer community, masculine men who are openly into and chase after other men go after other masculine presenting men. They don't come after us femmes unless it's for sex, and we're never the first choice there. So it's just crazy to me that instead of us maximizing our joint slay divas, y'all are literally coming for us because you're making it about yourself. And look, let's just keep it a fuck. Femphobia, not just homophobia, feminization, femininity on bodies that aren't supposed to display that and conquer it the way we do. Femphobia in the Black community, in the Latino community, is a whole conversation in and unto itself. But femphobia across the board in the world is the final frontier. And this is a perfect example of that. Because you saw someone who you see as less than human saying that they felt just a little bit of a type of way on one little detail of the whole situation. And you took that shit and ran with it because how dare this fat tranny go after our good men and take our options. As though any masculine man is a good option anywhere on planet Earth. Be for fucking real. This is also why I would find it so crazy whenever women would get jealous of or be insecure about me when I would be around them because I was getting attention from a man that they desired. As though that was ever gonna lead to anything real or concrete. Like, bitch, these motherfuckers don't give a fuck about me. You don't even give a fuck about me. You only started caring because now I'm in the space and I make you feel threatened because I'm gorgeous. Okay, we're both gorgeous, darling. But one of us actually knows it, and that's the problem. Because I don't get validation from men, but you do. And that's the issue. Decenter men and pedestalize your value. Because if I can do that as someone who the world does not want to exist, literally, I'm not allowed to exist legally in most of the world. And I don't get the cheap thrill of being pursued by men who actually hate me or validated by them like you do, then you have no excuse. Do yourself a favor and go watch Cat Black's video on this. And Donnie, stay fabulous, Diva.